RGB, that's what we see in our high definition screens. That's the next one over here. Adobe RGB is the next one, and that's the next phase of our screens. But the full three-dimensional color space utilizes reflectivity and light saturation and everything else. And that's what we get into when we can utilize effects and texture digitally. So looking at this picture, this is a natural landscape. We see blue of ocean, we see yellow of sun, green of the moss on the rocks and sand. But when we pixelate it, we start to see how many actual colors are in there because of the reflectivity of those different surfaces, because light is hitting them in different ways, and as they're in different angles, they're more and less reflective. That's what nature gives us, is this huge array of colors, and that's what we're allowed to do and capable of doing today in time. Beyond just the surface, what we can do now is manipulate the gauge of our tile, the thickness of our tile. It's not just for the large 10-foot by 5-foot panels. We're doing it with small format wall tiles, with traditional dry press porcelains, and even extruded products today. We're working with gauges in a very finite amount so that we can create a tile that does its job specifically and perfectly. We're not using more energy than we need to fire it. We're not using more materials than we need to manufacture it. And we can load more of it into containers. So here's one of the most exciting things that I found in my research this year. And it was just 11 months ago actually. ITC, which is the think tank in Spain, it partnered with the University in Castellón, which is one of the only graduate studies in ceramic engineering programs in the world, and they achieved a hydrogen blend firing, hydrogen and natural gas firing of ceramics in May just last year. They're doing this for a very specific reason. It's giving the industry time to work with their existing technology to add hydrogen into the mix and give the manufacturers time to ramp up their investment to switch over to full hydrogen kilns. That's how, one of the ways that we're already getting close to that goal of our 50% reduction by 2050. I believe it's actually 55% that they upped it to just last year. So that's enough tech and math and boring stuff. We're going to get into pretty tiles now. But that is how we get all of the looks that I'm about to show you today. And the first thing that I want to sort of explain is when I'm talking about trends, each and every year, I'm looking at what came before and what's going to inform the future. And this year, more than ever, it really is an evolution of what's happened in the past, I'm going to say about 4 years. In this case, this picture really shows it very, very well. Our goal here is to light a room. It depends on the technology at our disposal, how well we do that, how efficiently we do that, what quality of light we can offer, et cetera, et cetera. And that's exactly what the technology is doing in ceramic tile today. We're getting from a simple candle flame up to a high efficiency LED that we can manipulate hue and strobes and all kinds of different stuff. And that's basically where we're at in ceramics. So if we think of trends as concentric tree rings building upon each other, and each movement sort of informs what's happening next. If we look at the major trends that have been informing the ceramic industry for the past 4 years, this is everything I've been spouting at all of you guys for 4 years now. All of these are still relevant. Each and every one of these is something that comes into creation today, and it's what is driving, and Lisa said it beautifully, a composed thought across an entire collection is what manufacturers are really trying to do. So we're going to go through a few of these, and I'm just going to show you some examples, and don't worry, I'm not going to go through 16. There's just a few that I'm going to touch on, and it should give you an idea of how we're incorporating them with the modern technology today. So biophilia is something that hit home really hard for a lot of people as we got locked inside for a year and we realized, oh my gosh, nature's really important to me. I don't do well without plants and beaches and snowboard hills and everything else that I like to do outside. So we creating a reflection of nature, or simply a space that supports its inclusion, and I've got a great picture that's going to illustrate that at the end of this section. is something that's really, really important. And we can do that in multiple ways in ceramics. If it's monochrome, oftentimes we're using light and shadow and the natural textures of nature to speak and give that biophilic response. We can do subtle overlays and tonal echoes that are using natural stones and organic themes to give that sort of idea. I love seeing third fire decoratives coming back in a huge way. It's the highest value that we can make in ceramics because you can only do this kind of stuff in glaze. If we fire it a second or third time with a much more delicate mineral, the amount of volume, reflectivity, luminance that we can put into our programs is so huge, and it's nice that if someone's already decided to go for the premium of tile, why not offer the absolute best the tile industry can do in terms of decoration? And I'm seeing a lot of manufacturers come back to third fire, as well as their single fire decos, and they're getting even more sophisticated with all of this digital technology, where we've got this kind of ghosting effect. You see right where that light ring is, there's the exact same pattern, just in pearlescent ink in behind that decorative pattern, so that as you move around the space, you see that around you. We're adding a human touch to the nature themes, using mathematics with microtessellations like MCS sure did in a lot of our wallpapers, or just simply making wallpaper better than wallpaper can make it. Giving silk looks and metallics and things that are so delicate and so expensive in natural wallpaper is extremely important in this industry. Here's what I'm talking about in a biophilic theme that doesn't have any vegetation or animals in the print. Look at that living wall beside that tub. Every single tone that's in that living wall is represented throughout that patina, beautiful concrete. And we're seeing a lot of this come into our programs where the accents have a lot of callbacks to the vegetation that we're bringing into our environments today. The next one that I want to talk about is organic forms, raw forms that are minimally worked, that are celebrating materials for what they actually are, rather than us trying to optimize them and make them something else. We're seeing a lot of this, and because we can manipulate the structure of a surface today and give those fine gradations and imperfections that we find in nature, like we saw in that picture of the beach, we're getting the most realistic organic structures that can utilize texture to add depth and harness the power of reflectivity and light and shadow to add multiple hues throughout the tone. We're using reflectivity to add variable contrast to single color and monocolor programs. In this case, there's 3 different finishes within that simple sunflower. The background is hyper matte. The overall finish of the sunflower is satin. And the black relief, the black line there, is a high gloss pearlescent. It's some of the most engaging tactile experiences because that's what people are looking for today. Authenticity is always going to trump embellishment for clients today, and that's what we're giving in a product that's simply baked dirt. And we're seeing a lot of this natural browns and raw ceramics come back in because we can augment them just with a little bit of patina that we would see if they were sitting there for 50 years, and we can do it perfectly in monochromatic tonal variation or in natural materials like stone or wood. The next thing we want from our materials, no matter what they are, is that they're adapting, that we're surrounded with protective materials that are adaptive and responsive to our changing lifestyles as we switch gears throughout the day. And there's literally nothing that does that better than tile. One of the things for the installers out there that I'm loving seeing is some of the high-tech options are coming with illusionary installs, whether it's water jet or saw cut grout joint so that it's not a mesh mounted mosaic, or simple effects that look like the grout joint is there. The reason we can do this is because of a lot of the ancillary products that are out there that are helping installers achieve a very regular, crisp, and on-plane installation. Here's one that was just introduced at Tevisama this year, and I love the simple thought process of this. It's a 2cm paver that has intelligent drainage built right into it, and it's a simple dry fit installation that's tongue and groove. So it's tongue and groove, it's seamless, and it allows for drainage within the cavity body of this extruded tile. These are the kind of simple solutions that the industry is really focused on giving that are value adds that allow for a really high efficiency solution that doesn't add a huge amount in install cost and take it out of reach for a lot of consumers. What consumers are looking for is that seamless performance, and the reason we're seeing a lot of growth in the tile sector, a lot of it is coming from a barrierless transition from inside to outside. And we want one material going all the way through. We started to be able to do that when we pioneered in-out or home-based glazes that are actually more slip resistant when you're wet. So it's smooth to the touch when you're walking on, and this is one of them here. It's smooth, you can walk on it barefoot, but if it gets wet, it actually has a higher coefficient of friction than it does dry. And that's where this augmented reality, the last one you might have noticed, also has a similar high gloss, mineral-based metallic vein within that marble effect. And we're seeing that happen with caving inks to add texture to the vein as well as the metallic. Creating stones that are so lifelike and realistic that you can't believe that they're not the real material. The only way you can tell that they're not is when you spill a glass of red wine on your kitchen and you realize your countertop isn't destroyed. Or you use a Chapeau de Gray as a paver in the exterior, even though it's normally 20% glossy stone. So that's what I mean when I say contingency agnostic. We're not making ceramics because the natural products are ugly or imperfect or anything. We're making them because people don't want to hear, no, you can't use that there. We don't have to say, no, you can't use that there. We can give them exactly what they want in a product that's going to withstand anything they're going to throw at it. So the last thought I want to leave you with is that we always look back on history with rose-colored glasses, and that's something that we're doing in this industry, and I'm calling it kind of utopian reminiscence. We're taking the best parts of quintessential periods in design and materials, and we're creating them with all the new capabilities that we have at our disposal today, giving fresh new takes on relatable classics that just feel like comfort food for our eyes. So we're seeing this illusory memory and our love of terrazzos that are generally, we're only in high traffic commercial areas. And we're creating these jewel-like, beautiful things for residences and for high value commercial areas. This is one sort of field where we're seeing, it was funny, I came across this as I was doing trend research. Anyone come across Middle Ages modern instead of mid-century modern or castlecore? Look it up, it's really interesting. It's something that's coming into furniture design in a really big way, and I'm seeing a lot of this inspiration come into ceramics as well. So it might be kind of an idea to explore as you're going through the show today. What I love seeing is the cornucopia of artistic brilliance being interpreted in ceramics. We're taking watercolors and painters and classic glazes, and we're mashing them into perfect captures of a period of design. In this case, it's the 70s or maybe the 90s. And we're intelligently leveraging all of the capabilities we have at our disposal. We're not throwing the kitchen sink at everything. Not every tile has everything we're capable of, but we're able to leverage it to shape the future into something that has echoes of the past, that is warm and comfort and reminding, but is distinctly 21st century and unique. What our manufacturers are doing is giving our customers and clients the ability to create their perfect vision of forever, no matter what it may look like. What I'm saying is that today design is equaling benevolence. It's where we're shifting towards, and I think this industry is uniquely suited to really champion that message and really push it to the forefront. So I hope I've given you some food for thought. Thank you very much for your attention.